Hey, what up? You are tuning in to the Adventure Between Us podcast and YouTube channel. I'm Destiny, and this is Preston, and this week we're going to be diving in talking about red flags in a dating relationship, especially in the early stages.
Yeah.
So what's our first red flag?
All of them. No. I think a problem that everyone has... Oh, going back in. Okay. The problem is that in America anyway, we tend to want to see how red those flags can get. That's the biggest thing. It's like, but I love them so much. It's been a week. No, you don't.
That is infatuation. That is lust.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's definitely an issue. And then I feel like sometimes we overuse the word red flag. And I'm not saying that just because, like, you see red flags in a person. Like, I've had past friends, like, date somebody and there was just a lot of red flags for that relationship, like, with each of the individuals and with the relationship. So it just was not something that God had for them. So they, like, separated and whatnot. That person is not evil or a terrible or horrible person. Like, I mean, there are probably some people out there that just have a lot of issues that nobody, like, they need to work on themselves before they get into a dating relationship. Yeah. It's just for that relationship, that person was not meant for them.
Yeah.
But there are red flags, like, with that kind of certain thing of, like, you guys just aren't meant for each other. Like, that's not where God is leading you kind of thing. You just kind of jumped into it. Yeah. But then there's also red flags where it's like, no, that's a serious issue. Like, that is something to definitely be concerned about.
Yeah. And I think it does go back to the two different types of red flags. Red flags in the relationship and then red flags on the individual level. Because the individuals themselves may be great people, but there's red flags in the relationship, like lack of communication or XYZ. And then another thing with the individual level of they're just not that guy. You know, like they got issues, you know, like we've been talking about with jumping in too early and the emotional side of things, of like with
infatuation and whatnot.
Like, you're my everything. It's been 2 days.
And that kind of leads us to, like, our first red flag. Like, one of the biggest red flags, besides them not being a Christ follower or that, in which we'll talk about that in a little bit, is when you have, especially, like, for, like, women, like, there's two red flags, but they both are like in the same category, but they're similar. So for girls, and, like, girls do this too towards guys, but this is more of, like, a thing for, like, girls, especially, like, watching out for, because, like, I've actually kind of had it happen to me before, like, when, like, I moved to a new school, this guy, like, just trying to talk with me, and I was like...
Wasn't me. Just
yeah.
It out there. It wasn't
I was
me.
like, how about no? But it's literally been, like, a week, maybe 3 weeks at most. Like, it's been less than a month, okay? But, he, like, literally right out of the door, like, you guys aren't even dating yet. He's just, like, talking to you. You could be dating, but I hope not, because dating is after you are friends.
Yeah, for at least a few months. I'd give it a few months.
He's just like, wow, you're so beautiful, and you're, like, the most prettiest girl in the world. And he's just talking and basically trying to flatter you with flattery. And, A, it's creepy. Like, if you're a guy, just don't do that. Like, unless they're a very, like, self-conceited person, which that right there should be a red flag, that you probably don't want that girl. Like, she probably should work on that. But, like, that is really creepy, and it makes the girl really uncomfortable. And for girls, that is a big red flag. Mm-hmm. That is not, oh, he likes me. Like, no, that's an obsession.
He wants you in bed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but in the secular world, that's a guy trying to get you in bed. Just being honest. Let's be true here. And
then for guys, like, I would definitely say a red flag, like, that I see with girls sometimes that they do is they just want to just share every single emotion and memory and dark secret, like, right out the bat, like, into the friendship. Like, there are things, like, you might have had, like, hard trials in life, but that's still something that you should wait further down the road into the friendship. And then there are things that you should literally probably wait to share only with your spouse, because if you share it with a guy right off the bat, A, that makes him uncomfortable. B, is just, that's a lot.
Yeah.
C, like, if you guys break up or that, like, now there's a guy that knows
all this stuff, you know? And it's like, dude, I'm just trying to remember your favorite color. I don't want to know about your ex-grandma's boyfriend, you know? Like, this is ridiculous, you know?
And so there was just seasons, like, for me, I definitely gone through hard trials, like, in high school and whatnot. And, like, when we became friends, like, he didn't know about it. Like, I think he heard about, like, one of them through, like, the chain of friends at camp. But I didn't personally tell him until, like, over a year down the road. It was
probably about 2 years down the road. And, like, okay, something should wait to talk about till after marriage. But if there's going to be things in the sense of trauma or other things that should probably be talked about at least in some degree before you're married, because there's some things that should be talked about, like
Yeah. And so there is definitely like stages. So if people are just trying, I guess, to rush the stages and just jump in of like, no, we got to know each other on the deepest level. Like, you're not going to know them on a deep level within a week.
after one date. It's not going to happen.
Like, you know their favorite color, you know their aspirations, you know their name. You might even get to know their middle name by like the first week. Like, that's like, don't expect to be jumping into something for that. And I feel like all too often people try to rush a relationship, and that right there is a red flag in itself of not trusting God's timing, but just trying to push their own will upon it.
Yeah.
The second red flag I would definitely probably say is definitely not seeing a commitment to Christ. Like,
Oh, well, anything that'd be number one. That's the first issue, obviously. Like, if they get their main source of spiritual food from just going to church once a month, like that's not,
Yeah. And they just, their whole Christianity is more of a label for them, and they have a bio in their Instagram with the Bible verse. Like, if you aren't seeing them live out Christ as their first love, like if they don't love Christ as their first love, they will never be able to first properly love you in the way that Christ wants you to, kind of thing. But then secondly, like, that is a huge red flag. Like, if they're just doing it to impress you, like, is that the man you want to lead your family? Is that the girl you want to raise your future kids, and do life with?
Right.
Like, their commitment to Christ should be their first and foremost biggest thing.
I had a good thought, but it left me.
I'm sorry.
No, it's my head. It left the train has left the station. But yeah, another thing with that, and we talked about this in our first one, but like if a girl is dating a guy, I see this mainly with that, not necessarily vice versa, but like if you're taking the guy to church to get him saved, no, that goes back to the unequally yoked. It ain't gonna happen. He's only going there because he likes you. He could probably care less about the whole church thing. He's just doing it to please you. Don't get me wrong, occasionally, one in maybe every 50, there's actually a guy who's slightly actually interested in church and growing a spiritual walk, but until that point, you're just friends.
Yeah, and that isn't something where also, because I've seen it with personal friends and whatnot, with hidden motives of, we're not dating, he's just friends, I'm taking him to church kind of thing, because I can't date him until he's saved, because then we'll be equally yoked. A newborn Christian should not be equally yoked to you if you've been a believer
for 5 years.
Yeah. And if there is, that should be a red flag in yourself of, how's my spiritual walk? I'm not saying like newborn believers can't grow at a heightened rate.
Right.
Like,
it depends on their dedication, because I know for a fact she's been saved a lot longer than I have, probably a good 3 to 4 years longer than I have. But I'm kind of a bookworm and I seek knowledge very fast. So I grew that spiritual walk in a few years,
Yeah, and you got saved like after, like before we were friends, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's another key point. I didn't get saved after I met her. I got saved before that point, before I even knew who she was. So
exactly, and so I don't have hidden motives. Like, that's a red flag in yourself. Of, we're just friends, like, he's just coming to church, I'm just getting him to know it, because you're just waiting for him to get saved so then you can claim him as your Christian boyfriend. Like, that right there, no, that's a big no-no. And it drives me nuts when I see girls do that. I'm like, girl, you are wasting your time right now.
He's not even that good looking and he don't have a job. What's the deal there?
Go pursue your life and get your life all set up, like, with Jesus. And Jesus will bring along a man that blows you away, not a man that's just barely cut at the minimum. Like, I'm sorry, but...
Yeah, I get that he's over the 6 foot mark, but other than that, he's got nothing going for him.
I mean, he might be a phenomenal man, but if he's not equally yoked believer, I'm sorry.
Okay, don't get us wrong. There are good guys out there that aren't saved. You know, like that's...
And that guy, you guys might be best friends, but if he's not saved at that season of your life, it is not biblical for you guys to pursue a relationship, and you should therefore not waste your time waiting in case he does get saved, but truly just focus on you pursuing God, becoming the best version of yourself you can be, because if that guy is truly meant for you down the road, he will get saved, he will grow his spiritual walk, and God will bring you two back together.
Yeah, and I want to go back and say good in quotations, because no one is good, because, hard to see evil among all things, but in the sense of acts, it's not a slum bag. That's kind of... basis of that, do we have more red flags? I think
Yeah, we
did.
talked about more. It's just now I'm thinking about this whole red flag because I could go on a rant for
Which
that
one?
for hours.
Oh, okay. Well,
Like-
not hours. Okay.
Well, that communication.
Yeah.
Communication is definitely a big red flag. Like, if you guys, like, you're gonna have issues at the beginning of your relationship. So just because you have communication problems doesn't mean,
mean
this is a red flag, I need to get out of this relationship.
Yeah, that's
like,
the
no.
overusing of
No
the red flag.
relationship is perfect. You're gonna have to work through. Relationships are hard. It's a visual fact. And I feel like so many people jump into relationships just thinking it's gonna be fun and easy and happy. And if that's true, there would be no really point for a relationship, because the point of a relationship is to make you more holy.
And to push the other person. There's supposed to be
Yeah.
contention there, you know?
You know, and if you were happy all the time, you would never grow and you would actually get really bored of the relationship.
What is that psychology thing? Like, if there's more, like 1 in 10, there has to be at least one edgy or like argument in every 10 good experiences. Because if not, you're not growing.
Yeah. And so commitment. No, communication. Commitment is
Yeah,
just
that's
like,
another thing. I guess hold on.
Communication is definitely like a red flag. So like if you guys are not talking through problems, you feel like you're walking on eggshells, not able to voice them. If you're not having deeper conversations, it's all just, oh, how's the weather kind of conversations.
You live next door. What are you talking about?
Like that right there should be something to be concerned about slightly. Or if you guys literally never really talk, like you guys just go hang out at each other's house and like watch Netflix, like that right there is not really the basis of a relationship.
That's a friendship, you know? That's nothing really more there.
Yeah.
You know?
And I mean, relationships are built on a friendship, but that friendship should have even basis for communication.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, that's definitely a thing. Or even being joined at a hip. Like that's like another red flag.
That kind of goes back to the first thing we talked about, being overly clingy.
Yeah. Like when you guys get into a relationship, you should still have time for yourselves, time for your other friend groups, time for your hobbies, time to grow yourself, and especially time for you to grow your walk with Christ. Like, you guys should not be joined at the hip. And I see those couples where they literally, like, you never see them without each other kind of thing. And that is unhealthy. Like, you need alone time.
Yeah.
Like,
Or times with the guys or times with the girls, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
so that right there is a red flag. Like, if you guys don't have, like, that alone time kind of thing, like, with your other friend groups kind of thing. But then also, if they're getting overly clingy when you go to hang out with the guys or girls,
they get upset that you want alone time. That's not a good thing at all.
Yeah.
That's like controlling, like at an unhealthy level. Like
Yeah.
it's always to be like, hey, where are you going? I'm going here. Oh, okay, have fun. You know, that should be the, like, you don't be like, why are you going? Why aren't you inviting me? Blah, 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 blah. You know, that's not healthy.
Another red flag that I definitely see now that we're like you're talking about that of like the controlling aspect is trust issues. Them bringing past baggage from other relationships into this relationship.
Right.
I see it a lot of times when people have been cheated on. Like, that does a lot of emotional damage. And I can definitely say, like, I feel sorry for you because you should have not had to go through that. Like,
People suck.
Yeah. But that is something you do need to heal from and work through.
By yourself.
Yeah.
Or through other mentors, you know.
Yeah, of the same gender, preferably.
Yeah, because, no.
You know, unless it's like a therapist and he happens to be a guy and you're a girl, but even then you should be going to find female mentors if you're a female, male mentors if you're a male.
And therapists aren't friends, they're just there to do their job.
Yeah, they're just there to listen to you rant.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And they'll be like, here, let me prescribe this to you, a nap. You know, like,
That's the most spiritual thing you can do is take a nap.
Yeah.
But no, for real, that is definitely something to be concerned about. Like, if they are constantly bringing past baggage of like, oh, who are you talking to? Where are you going? Oh, well, this person cheated on me in the past. You are not that person. You should not have to be dealing with that trauma. Like, that is something that they need to work through, because if you ignore it and you guys get married, that baggage now becomes your baggage.
Yep.
And that right there, you do not want to have rotting roots at the root and foundation of your relationship.
Yeah, no one wants to pay for the extra baggage on the plane. Just, you know, like,
Yeah.
you only are allowed one carry-on, that's it. But
I'm not saying if nobody has problems, just like, oh, you have problems, I don't want to deal with it. Like,
No.
that's not what we're saying. But we are saying if they are bringing up past, like, things constantly, or they're, like, overly controlling, like, that is something to definitely be concerned
Weary
about.
of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And definitely, like, that's exactly it. Like, dating and friendship and before marriage is definitely a time for evaluation. And whatever flags you're seeing now, they will not magically go away once you get married.
Yeah, no, if anything, they grow more, because then in a sense you're stuck with that person, you know? And that's a really bad way of looking at it, because like,
you don't want to be stuck with someone, you want to grow with someone.
that's exactly it. Because like, if you view your relationship as being stuck on a deserted island with the person, then it's not a good relationship. You should probably reevaluate that pretty good. Now, if you look at it in the sense of a very nice, growing, you know,
Yeah.
You get my point, I think, probably, hopefully.
Yeah, but these are by far probably our just top, like, right off the bat, open talk red flags that we see.
Yeah, that, and then kind of like we've talked about this before, but like if your friends and family or close mentor people are like, hey, we are seeing this, you should be highly concerned.
Like,
that's something you should really consider, because like they typically will have your interest at heart. Like, don't listen to that one friend who doesn't talk to you and is always being like really passive towards you and
jealous.
Like, jealous. That's not a good mentor or friend. Don't take their advice. Probably it's not a good idea, because they're probably have worse intentions. But
yeah,
you know, but if your dad or mom that you trust is like, hey, they're a liar. They lie a lot. Like, even in passing.
Or
like,
he gets really angry, or he's a really grumpy, negative, drone person.
Right.
Or she's not the most modest of people, and she's always looking for attention in the wrong places.
Right. But then you're like, oh, you know, it's not.
Because that's exactly it. Like, it's love versus infatuation and lust.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, there are those friends out there that just, they have their own interests and whatnot. But for the most part, the people you surround yourself with, you usually have a pretty good thing of, these are people I trust. And if you trust them enough to share things and have a friendship with them, you should be able to trust them enough for them to give you the hardcore truth. And you might not like it, because you might be all on this roller coaster if they're the best thing since sliced bread.
No, bread's better. No.
Bagels are better.
Oh,
no, but for real, they do have your interest at heart, and they want what's best for you, and they want to see you succeed. People are not looking to watch you fail. Like, I know in our culture, we definitely, like, we assume the most negative. Like, we're just negative drawn of, like, oh, can we talk? Oh, no, they want to break up. Like, no. Like,
no, I wanted to see what you wanted for dinner. Calm down.
Yeah, so they do have what's best at heart. Like, I remember, like, when we were friends, I was going towards my mentors, I was going towards my friends, thinking of, like, what do you think about this, you know? Like, before we ever started dating, he was with friend groups, and, like, he met everyone, and they watched him, and they did observe him, even when he didn't know that there were certain people.
I know they were stalking me.
Well, there's a difference between that or, like, just, like, other people in the family of us, like, watching you, just seeing how you interact.
Right.
Like,
the one guy's in a bush with binoculars. It's kind of hard to miss. No.
It's definitely a time for evaluation even before you start dating, and hopefully you are smart to wait, because if they truly love you and they truly want to, like, marry you in the future and they want to get to know you more, they're going to be patient with waiting. Like, I'm not saying they're going to wait 7 years because you just keep putting it off because you have fears or whatever, and that's something you need to work through. But if you're like, hey, I want to wait until we are deeper friendship, they're going to stay with it, unless they're just basically wanting to get in your pants or something, or they just want to fling, or they just want to, like, have another person to say that they're their bae. Then they're going to probably leave, and that right there, you just dodged a red flag in itself.
Yeah, and then that's another smaller thing is, like, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I tend to see this more on the female side of things, is like, they, like, oh, my friends have a boyfriend, so I need one.
Yeah.
Typically speaking, that's it. Don't get me wrong, guys do the same thing sometimes, but it's typically more on the female side of things.
And that's definitely, like, I'm going to probably be talking about red flags in yourself in the future, just because that's something, like, I'm definitely, like, a self-observant person, so I'm like, these are red flags that you work on with yourself, because there are different types of red flags. But that's definitely something I do see in females a lot, and I see it even in, like, my personal friend groups and other people. Like, I just watch, especially, like, going through high school. Like, I didn't date. I chose to wait until I was out of high school, because I just wanted to focus on me, figuring out who I was, doing my school. You can't get married anyways until you're 18, and even then, are you truly just gonna get married at age 18? Like, oh, I'm 18, let's get married now. Like, I mean, some people do, and if that's what God has for you, that's amazing, and I'm so happy for you. But I just did not feel that was what God had for me. And I watched a bunch of friends jump in and out of relationships, get their heart broke, just go through a lot of things that they could have avoided if they had just waited. But then I also saw friends be like, well, all my friends have boyfriends, and I just want somebody to hold their hand with and talk to and get good morning texts and whatnot.
Do this. It works. Pray about it, guys.
Pray about it. Thank you, Jesus, for letting me wait. I run the race and persevere. No. But for real, like, don't just get in a relationship because everyone else is, or, oh, you're friends, and if we don't get in a relationship, he's gonna move on. Like, no.
Let him move on.
Yeah, exactly. Let him move on, because the guy God has for you, like, I'm especially speaking towards ladies right now, he will pursue, he will not have eyes for anyone else, he will be dedicated towards the relationship, you know? And for guys, like, I definitely say, if she likes you, she's just flirting with you, and whatnot, and she's like leading you on a lot and trying to pursue you, that should be a slight red flag to look out for. Because like a true godly woman, like, yes, there's nothing wrong with flirting, like, I feel like in boundaries of intention, because it's a very fine line when flirting becomes unbiblical. We're gonna leave that there, that's a whole nother topic.
Leave that to your discretion, you guys.
And so if there are girls just constantly like, oh, hey, you know, I'm flirting and trying to get your attention and go out of their way to, like, talk to you, and it's making you uncomfortable, that right there, it should be a red flag that she's, like, pursuing you at that hardcore of a level.
Yeah.
Because as godly women, like, yeah, it teaches you patience, because you're like, oh, I just want him to talk to me, blah, blah, blah.
And I think with guys, there's two versions of that. One, either he's not interested at all, and it's just uncomfortable for the guy, or he's too introverted to ask, and he's not in that season personally to get into a relationship.
Because
like
if he wanted to, he would.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
And that's true. I can speak from experience. I'm an introvert, like, really an introvert. Like, I'll read for 3 hours straight and not talk to people for days. But that's just me. And there's no excuse, even if you're really introverted, to not pursue something in your life that you want to either succeed at or get into a relationship with somebody or a job. Like, this past month, I've had to call a bunch of different people, which is like one of my worst fears. I don't like talking to people on the phone. I'd rather just be in person, talk it out, but no, I gotta call people. But, you know, just get over it, do it. It's worth it in the long run, because at the end of the day, if you really wanted it, you would pursue it, you know?
Yeah. So all these ladies out there that want to use the excuse of, oh, he's just shy, so I gotta go do it. He just smashed that excuse right off the board.
Oh, I was shy. I was even more awkward back then, and I still had the guts to ask you out.
Yeah, you did. So the guts to ask me if I liked you.
Yeah, right.
So I was like, I'm not answering that over text. Long distance for you.
Yeah, right. What? I'm in Nevada at the time, guys. I can't really go in person.
I was like, I'll talk to you next time I see you in person.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's another thing. We get into another topic of long distance relationships.
Yeah.
That's always fun.
So these are just our top red flags. If you have other questions or red flags that you see in a relationship, please comment them below or DM us on Instagram. It's going to be all in the description below, where you can connect with us. Just topics, questions, comments. Please DM us, talk to us. We have been so thankful to talk to you guys. If this helped you in any way, please share it, give it a like, subscribe. It helps us as much as it helps you.
Yeah.
And yeah.
At the end of the day, relationships are difficult but worth it. That, you know, like, good relationships are worth it, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much. Peace out until next time.